guys, how's it going? So today I want to go through the contents of both of these boxes that we just received from Proven Winners. I've already opened them, so I know what's in them, but I'm really excited to show you because we've worked with Proven Winners for a little over 5 years at this point, which seems so crazy to me. I mean, time just flies. And they've come up with some really cool stuff throughout the years, and I've always loved their plants. But what's inside this box makes me really, really excited. I think you guys are gonna like it. So first off, I have all of their seeds, which I'll go through all of these because some of them are new to me. I haven't grown them yet. But this right here is what makes me excited. So this is a fully compostable and self-feeding seed starting pot. I gotta figure out how to get these out without totally, there we go, wrecking the packaging. Looks and feels like plastic, but they're made out of things like corn, sugar beets. There's a certain type of grass that they use. And they can process them and make them into what's called a biopolymer. I don't know the science behind all of that. But essentially, you plant your seeds in here. When you get ready to transplant them, you pull these tabs off. You can toss the tabs in the ground because they'll break down. And then the rest of the pot will break down, and the plants will just continue growing. So they are moving toward eliminating plastic waste, which there's a ton of in gardening. If you think about all the containers, when you go down to the garden center and you're looking at these racks full of little seedlings or, gallon-sized pots or whatever, I mean, it's so much plastic that's really hard to recycle or reuse. So I think this is a really good step, and I do believe that they are working toward replacing most all of their plastic pots with these that will break down. So imagine getting your annuals and being able just to pop the whole can down in the ground instead of having to take it out of its pot and then you have to throw the pot away or figure out a new way to use it and so forth. The other cool thing about it is that there's plant nutrients already worked into the sides of these pots. So there's stuff like worm casings, there's a lot of different organic materials. I mean, you can read up. We'll link a informational sheet down below if you want to go read up a little bit more. But as the pot breaks down, it feeds the roots of your plants. So you kind of get double duty. So you're not losing a bunch of fertilizer to runoff. Because when you're fertilizing your seedlings in regular plastic pots, you see the water go out the bottom, you know that there's some fertilizer in that water. Well, with these, I mean, you'll still get water draining out the bottom, but then you know that they're still feeding the roots of your plants. They still do recommend that you fertilize on a regular weekly basis like you would normally, but it's kind of nice to have that backup. And I do have to caveat though that I have, this is the first time I've ever held one in my hands. So we're gonna be trying these out this year. And pots that break down typically in our really dry climate haven't been super successful. The thick peat pots that roses sometimes come in. You're supposed to be able to plant those in the ground and then the pot breaks down and the rose can continue growing. We've never been able to successfully do that here because it's not wet enough. So this will be a really fun experiment to try out, see what happens. I did read up that they will last planted for about 6 months. So if you plant something in them and you don't get around for some reason to planting it for 6 months, you can have it on a shelf somewhere. And then at that point is when you should probably think about getting it in the ground because it'll start to break down after that point. So I do want to plant a couple of these up for you guys today just to get them started. I have grow lights going and I've got space, so I may as well, even though it's kind of early. But I'll do that in just a second. I want to go through the rest of this stuff first. So there are 4 different types of seed here, plants that I have never grown before. These are brand new. So there's a couple of different tomatoes. There's the Tempting Tomatoes Bellini, cocktail type tomato. Looks like it's an orange one. And then we've got Patio Sunshine, so a yellow cherry. And if it's a patio, let me read up here. This little determinate tomato packs a whole lot of flavor into just over 1 square foot. So really good for containers. And its maturity day is only 45 days. That's awesome. Hold on, let me read up on this one too. You'll be glowing with pride when you harvest the long clusters of bright orange, large cocktail-sized tomatoes. They resist cracking and disease, amazing flavor. Oh, that's so exciting. And then we've got Pesto Besto. So you might be familiar with their Amazel basil. So this is just another type of basil that they have. And then Dragon's Tongue bush beans. So these 2 will be started out later. I'll probably pop a couple of seeds of these now because I could keep them in here for quite a long time under grow lights until they're ready to go out. They typically do pretty good. And then the rest of the seeds, we've got the Buried Treasure strawberry line here. There's red, pink, and white. I actually got into these this morning because I planted some in our winter sowing project because they do need to be either in a freezer or somewhere where they can receive intense cold for 3 to 4 weeks before you plant them. I planted all of these from plants, but never from seed. And I think that that might be a new offering this year. I think, right? Well, I didn't notice if they offered them from seed prior to this year, which I think is really fun. And they're so good. And let me tell you, the second year is the best on these plants. So when I got them as a pre-grown on plant in one of their grande containers, they were pretty good the first year. The berries weren't super huge or super prolific, but we live in a zone 6. They are rated down to a zone 5, I think. Anyway, second year, amazing crop, amazing yield, and the berries were big and sweet. So just keep that in mind. But I think that these two are grown as an ornamental as well because of the really pretty, well, the fruit, but the colors of their blooms. Because typical strawberry blooms are white, and then the pink and red just kind of add an extra decorative touch to them. Then we've got a couple other things. There's the other tomatoes, which I've grown for several years now. Garden Gem, Good Hearted, and Garden Treasure. The Garden Gems are probably one of my favorite tomatoes in the garden. They're like a aroma type kind of, but they're a little bit juicier. The flavor is phenomenal and the fruit set is amazing. My Garden Treasures last year, I have a picture of one. I have a picture of one that I was holding in my hand and it filled up my entire hand. Wonderful slicer tomatoes. And then Good Hearted is a super small growing cocktail type tomato. I've got pictures of this one as well, where the fruit just almost from the base of the stem all the way to the tip, they're just full of fruit. Like I could hardly see any leaves on this plant, but really good even for hanging baskets. And they kind of have a heart shape about them. And then we've got Fire Away Hot and Heavy Peppers, which have grown for the last 2 or 3 years now. I started some from seed last year and then grew some from pre-grown plants. They all did really well. I even strung some and have them in our root cellar. Okay, so let's put this stuff aside and I'm gonna grab the big box and then we'll plant. So this will look familiar to you, I'm sure, because we have shown one of these in a video before, but not all of them. So we've got some twist and plant augers in here. This is the original twist and plant, which I'll show you first. And it's the one we've shown before, but they now have a couple new sizes. The nice thing about these is if you plant a lot of Proven Winners plants, these were custom made size-wise to fit their exact size of plant can, which makes it very nice so that you don't have to, dig multiple holes to make it big enough and so forth. So let me find a knife. But these work equally as well for bulb planting too. So if you do a lot of like tulips or daffodils or anything like that. So there you go. That is the original right there. So this is a perfect size for their grande size can, like for annuals, and so we have used it quite a bit. Our soil is pretty nice for it. We don't have super rocky soil. We do have some clay out there, and it just charges right through that really easily. This is their jumbo size. That's the jumbo size right there. So it's just like for gallon size cans. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Can you do a 3-gallon as well?
Yeah, you could do a 3-gallon with this. You just have to do like a couple holes right next to each other, which when you're auging holes, it goes so fast. It's so much faster than using a shovel. That feels heavy. That's good. You want it to be. I have tried out other augers before. We have tried, I don't even remember the brands, but you really do get what you pay for in terms of augers. If you're buying kind of a flimsy looking thing, it will bend. Trust me, it will bend. So it's definitely worth investing in one that's more sturdy. So this is the extended original. Oh, this is nice, Erin. Look at that. I could see myself using this size. Well, I don't know which size I would use more often. I probably use them both a lot. It's nice to have an extender because then you can, stand more upright if you need to. It just puts you at a different level. It's still the same for their grande size there. I will say though, if you are a person that's naturally a little bit weaker in the arms, augers can hurt you if you're not careful and if you're not confident with power tools, because you do have to use a powerful drill in order to run one of these. And you need to know the settings. There's torque settings to where you can set the drill. If it meets a certain amount of resistance, it'll kind of shut down so that it won't twist your wrist around, because it can really hurt You may go grab a drill? Yeah. Okay. So in case you're wondering what kind of drill to get, this is what we use. This is a 20 volt max, a DeWalt. And we just use DeWalt tools because that's what we started with, and their batteries are interchangeable and batteries are expensive. So once you get one of their tools, it makes sense just to go with it and get the rest of the tools in the same line. I'm sure there are other good brands out there. Definitely don't get the lower end though, like get a step up from the lower end. But let me show you how this works. I'm gonna put this auger in. Want to make sure to tighten the chuck because it's really important. If you don't do that, your auger will fall out at some point, so tighten that up really well. And then you've got a speed setting here. Usually I keep it at 1, but the torque settings are probably one of the more important things. So if you look at the settings right here, every drill will be different. You don't want it to be here. If you have it on the drill setting right there, if this thing meets resistance, it won't stop. And that's when it will twist your wrist around and possibly hurt your wrist or your hand. Or your leg. We have big augers, and so we have a big, what kind of drill is that?
A joist drill.
A joist drill, and it has a handle on it, and one time it hit something and it swung around and hit me in the leg. So Aaron kind of gets himself in a stance and has that handle like resting on his leg to where it has nowhere to go. It can't flip around and hit him, and you kind of learn these things throughout time. And then the rest of the settings here, the higher the setting you go, the quicker it will shut down when it meets resistance. So you can play around depending on your soil type where you need to have that set, but just do be careful. I just wanted to make sure to run through that because I have seen some people who have been injured by these things, and they really do make planting so much easier, and I highly, highly recommend it because I think my body will thank me later on down the road for using this rather than, just shovelful after shovelful. It keeps me off my knees too a little bit, but you just need to be aware of what can happen, I guess. There is a handle for the drill you can put. It goes like, where does it go? Like right here? Mm-hmm. I don't ever use it. Aaron loves to use it, something that clamps down and you can tighten it. And then that way you're drilling like this and you've got a handle on it here too, so it really doesn't have the ability to flip around. I don't like to use it that way. I just use it like this without a handle. Everybody has their own preference. But this makes me excited. Now I can use this with this drill, right? Oh, I want to see what that looks like. Hold on. Yeah, so this jumbo and the extender size I haven't tried out yet, so that'll be fun this spring. All right, so now I want to pot up a few of these little pots here with some tomato seeds, because why not? We may as well. I already have this going. I've got some seed starting soil in there from a project we were doing early on today. I think I'm going to do a couple in basil, and then we'll do a couple in Bellini and a couple in patio sunshine, since I've tried the other ones before. It also says to not press the soil down too hard because that can cause extra stress on the pot. Like, to me, it's so crazy because these just, like, they do not seem like they would break down the way they feel. They feel very sturdy. I'm glad I have a way to use up some of the soil from earlier. I told Aaron, no, I'm not gonna make a huge mess. Well, a little bit. I need to get some tags really quick first. Okay, so I've got my labels made. We'll do 2 basil, 2 patio sunshine, and 2 Bellinis. And I believe 1/8 of an inch deep on the tomatoes and 1/4 of an inch deep on the basil. So you get 15 seeds per tomato pack, which I'm only going to use 2 seeds in each one of these. So today I'm only utilizing 4 of the seeds. So I'll have more to start underneath my grow lights a little bit later on, kind of at a more proper time, so that they're not too huge by the time I need them to go outside. So which one is this? Patio sunshine. 1/8 of an inch. Oh boy, they came shooting right out. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go.
Oh man, don't lose them.
I know. You know when you have an envelope inside of an envelope that they're like precious seeds or tiny seeds, one of the two. Cover those over. Oh, this is like feeding my need right now. When it's all gross outside, you should show what it looks like outside right now. So these are the Bellini. These seeds are a tiny bit smaller even. There's 4 of them. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, this is nice.
Oh.
I wish they had 15 of these. One for every, well, maybe half the amount, because everybody usually does at least 2 or 3 seeds per little cell. That's a really good idea. It looks like on the basil seeds, there's 25 seeds of this variety. 1/4 inch deep on these. So now I want to get these underneath a dome just to help keep the humidity and moisture levels in until they germinate. So I'm going to use one of these and then one of my unused trays here. I think this will work. Perfect. So those are done. And if I use a seedling heat mat, I could probably get them to germinate within the week, but I'll probably just leave off that step just because we have time. And it's warm enough in here that they should germinate fairly quickly anyway. But this is just kind of a fun test, and I wanted to do things at different stages because planting them now, first part of January, I mean, I could wait 6 months until the beginning of June to plant them out in the ground, and then we could really see what they do inside these containers. I mean, it might be a case where I just need to pot this whole container up into a larger size one because there's so much time and they grow pretty quickly. But it'll be interesting to see how much the container has broken down by that point. Yeah, I'm just really excited about this thing. So there you go, that is pretty much it. I was just very excited when we got this box in today. I thought you guys might like to see when there's something that's really unique like this. Like I haven't seen a container, a seed starting container quite like this. So it's just really exciting, especially, you know, we plant a lot of stuff every year, and to know that it's even on their radar to start thinking about, you know, switching over to something that will compost and that will break down and that's not just filling up, you know, garbage cans somewhere is really awesome. And there are some places that will take containers, and I can't remember which. There's like a box store that will take containers and recycle them, but it's very hard, few and far between, and I think most people are just tossing them. So if we can get away from that even a little bit, I think that that's awesome. Oh, and while we're on the subject of proven winners, I did hear yesterday or today that their flower pillows are available for pre-order. We've done videos about them in the past. They're basically like large tea bags that come with 5 different flower plant plugs that you take out of the container that they arrive in and you pop it in your hanging basket or your container, and then they grow on. So it kind of eliminates the need to go one out and like put them together. It just takes kind of the work out of it for you. And they've got a ton of different recipes that you can choose from. So we'll link all of this stuff and the flower pillows and all of that down below. And then I will be sure to give you some updates on how these containers are doing for us. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was interesting to you, and we will see you in the next one.